Kristen, and you're listening to Podcast and Amplify, a podcast for women entrepreneurs who want to amplify their voice and brand through podcasting and grow a wildly successful business. I'm the executive producer and host of 2 shows and an entrepreneur, and I love helping women grow their visibility, mindset, and business to the next level. Each week, I share tips on how to launch and leverage your podcast, and I'm bringing on the very best business leaders to give you advice on how to build your business empire. Let's amplify your voice and business. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Kristen, and thanks for tuning in today. So today I want to talk about why wishing you had a podcast might be the thing that's actually preventing you from having one. So what do I mean by this? Here's the thing about wishing. Wishing puts you in that lack state of mind. It puts you immediately into that scarcity, and it makes you hyper aware of what you don't have. So when you wish for something, when you hope for something, it's not a very empowering place to operate from. And really, when you hope and wish for something, you're actually giving away your power because you're looking for something outside of you to give you what you want. And when we take back that power and we declare that we are going to have a podcast, or we think about the action steps that we need to take in order to have a podcast, instead of just wishing about it, we put in a plan and we take action steps. That is where you are in that truly empowered place, and you're not focusing on what you don't have. You're focusing on how to get what you want to have. Luckily, you have the ability to change the way you think about things and the actions that you take. So obviously, thoughts alone won't help you get a podcast. You have to follow it up with action. And a great way to do this is by getting support, taking that free workshop, working with a coach that gets you one step closer to your goal, and also shifting your identity to see yourself as a podcaster, claiming that, declaring it to people publicly so you have that extra bit of accountability. And besides getting that extra support and taking on that identity, you can mentally prepare for getting what it is that you want. So before you actually get it. So you can mentally prepare to be a podcaster before you're actually a podcaster. And this is going to help you to reach your goal of becoming a podcaster, because really everything starts with our mindset, right? Our mental state. And this is something that a lot of athletes are coached on, is how to mentally prepare to get the gold medal or win the championship. And so the one way that we can adopt from these athletes' preparation for what they're trying to accomplish, whether it's getting the gold medal or winning the championship, is by closing our eyes and imagining ourselves with what it is that we desire. So in this case, it would be a podcast. So imagining ourselves with the podcast, picturing it, feeling it in our body so that it's like so clear and so tangible that we can almost taste it. And what you're doing is you're preparing yourself to be the person and embody what you desire before you get there, so that you can take the actions toward getting there. Because the biggest obstacles to what you want are really your own self-doubt, fears, excuses, stories. And when you can see yourself accomplishing the thing that you desire, you are so much more likely to, and not just see yourself, but embody who that person is. You're so much more likely to reach your goal. So, because when you believe something's possible, you stay open to the possibilities, and then you do the work to make it happen. this is an exercise that I've definitely used for myself. I was so terrified when I first started my podcast. The self-doubt, the fears, the stories were real because it wasn't something that I had done before. And I was really trying to protect myself. But I kept seeing myself behind the microphone recording, and I focused on that feeling of excitement and satisfaction that I would have once my podcast was out, because there was another part of me that really knew that this was what I wanted to do, what I felt called to do. So I really leaned into that and tried to embody that person as much as I could. And now I have 2 podcasts. So if you want help to realize that vision that you have for your podcast, I created the Overwhelmed to Aligned Intensive for that very reason. Because when you are able to envision your podcast, that's what's going to motivate you to keep going. It's going to ground you into that vision, and you're going to feel so completely connected with it, because we talk about all the ways that it's going to support your business, support your mission, and it becomes something that you can really get behind because you can see it and feel it, and you will no longer be in that space of wishing that you had a podcast. You will have a roadmap for creating that podcast. So if you're interested in working with me, I would love to help you. I will drop a link in the show notes to the Overwhelmed to Aligned Intensive. You can check out more by clicking on that link, and I'd love to work with you. So thank you so much for listening today. If you know of anyone who would find value from this podcast, please share it with them. I would be so grateful. Word of mouth is the best way to grow this podcast. And that's all I have for you this episode. Take care. If you loved today's episode, please subscribe so you don't miss a show. And rating and reviewing this podcast is the best way to help support us. Always remember, your voice and what you have to offer is needed in the world. Until next week, take care.